Yep. So I'm gonna record today's price action review. So pretty much we're bearish, right? Here's our MXM from the high. Bam, bam. But this is the 4-hour chart, so obviously it's kind of an extreme. But whatever. I did it backwards, but so we're at 50% on NQ, not halfway there on ES, and Dow is up in its own world. And Dow's like at the top 25%, but that's okay because it's letting us fall on others. So, what do we expect today? So, expecting bearishness, right? We look at the daily chart. We saw prior to today, we saw PSP, PSP, and then yesterday, Tuesday, yesterday was another PSP with a Dow. So, then we closed below the gap on ES, and we closed below the gap on NQ. Well, we wicked through the gap and closed lower. Bearish, obviously. Bearish day today. It was all about finding the setup, and I came in completely expecting bearishness. Absolutely no issues there. Right, so let's skip to 8 a.m. So right here is 8 a.m. And yeah, so we're looking at this, right? So obviously on the 4-hour, we already determined we're bearish. And Dow can do its own thing. We're mostly bearish on NQ and ES. So the question is like, how much are we going to pull back? Here's new day opening gap, right? We haven't really swept any form of London. No London. Um, well, never mind. Take that back. Take that back. We didn't go back into the new day opening gap because we just ran off right away from it. That's what I meant to say. Because I messed up with this in previous day liquidity. Anyway, so what happens? So here's 8:45, right? So here's 9:15. And then you can see Dow's running higher, higher. We have this bounce price range over here. I don't even remember actually if we hit that, like if we respected it or not. But I would definitely want to see that on the Dow. I'm totally fine with the Dow continuing to run higher while NQES just drop. So I'm looking for a setup on here, right? And I want to see NQES drop. So then I was like, all right, here's the new day opening gap. So chances are we need to hit that before we turn around. Yes, Dow's already in there, but oh well. So next candle is 9:30 and we just drop on the spot. We don't even take out the previous high, this one, because we can make a 90 with it. We have a 90 here with a 90 here. So two back-to-back 90s. The Dow's running to the moon. That's fine. And then we literally just sell off completely all the way down to where my draw was these lows right here, which my opinion were stupid obvious. Like, think about it. There's no other lows that can be met except for those. And not this one because we already went below it. There's only these lows. So then at the end of the by 10 a.m. we hit these lows, and I don't know if we went further on ES. No. So we smack it on NQ, right? We reverse perfectly on the dime. So looking at this, right? Let's mark off our opening range. So marking off the high, 9:30 up there, and then I'm gonna mark off the low, which was right here. Look, literally opening range was a giant bounce price range. Like, this is untradeable. Um, unfortunately, the perfect setup for today. Unfortunately, the perfect setup for today was literally the very first few minutes of the day. So look, pretty much, bam, right here, as we were dropping lower. So we should have already knew that it was 90-minute, right? So 90-minute should have been aware of. So right there is 9:45. You can, yeah, I guess you can do that. So bam bam. So you pretty much, if you don't enter in the opening range, you're cooked. Because yes, you could enter here, but it didn't touch the range. Like this isn't. It's not an entry. It's not it. So anyway, the only thing that was really like right in front of our eyes in terms of entry, because the setup, the higher time frame setup was absolutely there, and I feel like I gotta go and stay more on that QT side because quarterly theory, like, it just trumps basic um, orb setups at times. But like in this case, entering on here, the moment it closes above, like the entry was in that opening range. Expecting us to pull one more time higher, looking at this using QT is just silly. But like I just was like, hey, what if ES needs to hit that new day opening gap? Which it can't, right? Because here's higher, 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 higher. Well, here it's lower, 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 lower. I was like, what if it needs to hit that one more time? I'm gonna wait till opening range is all gone. And hey, that's what happens. He just sometimes you miss it. And so, in terms of the perfect entry in here, I pretty much took. So while I was trading, I pretty much put my stop. I mean, what am I saying? The fib. I threw the fib on high to low, and the low I chose was this one when it was created because I saw the chop after that. And this low perfectly brought us back to 0.5. And then you can see yes kept hitting that 0.5 and consolidating. And then we had the fall off below this range, pulled back up, and here's your perfect entry. And I even mentioned to my buddy, I'm not going to show those messages, but mentioned right here is probably the perfect entry for the day. And then it just sells off. And then guess what I take? The dumbest possible entry. Like literal trash, dude. Like, it's just insane. I see all that and I take this garbage. Like, really, man? So, even in this case, like, technically, obviously, if I had to put my stop loss at the high, it happened. Next time, I'm definitely gonna wait for the sweep. Because if I waited for the sweep, then it would have delivered. You see, right there, touched it, wicked into this. I don't know, 952 PSP. Let's see. I don't remember. No, it wasn't. So there's that perfect entry. ES ran into the gap. This one went all the way above it. 1002 as well. That's the perfect entry. So if not the one that I already showed, that would be the best one. And this would be your paper pencil. Like, it's not exactly orb, but definitely like I would enter somewhere here. And just stop loss at that just previous swing, right? And TP 3RR, or obviously that low that was just obvious to get hit. But honestly, in this case, like, dude, your stop loss should be honestly these highs, even though they can get wicked out. So yeah, 4R guaranteed. And then the reverse, like you'd have to leave here because I mean we saw in the 4 hour, there's nothing below it. So the perfect entry, let's look at the perfect entry using QT because that's what matters the most. Like if you look at this, like okay, whatever, we took an L. Okay, Loki has been a horrible week, but like yesterday was an emotional loss completely. Like this one completely not by strategy, right? This one was an A setup in my opinion. I just took an L normally. And then today, like, bro, what is that? Like emotional again. So emotional, actual loss. Like, gotta work on this. Gotta work on that. Balance minus 531. I don't really care, you know, because at the end of the day, like, even with my MLL, with my max loss limit, if I get one win tomorrow or the day after that, that one dub will put me in the positive balance. And after that, like it just continues and continues. We're chilling. Like I don't really care. Um, so back to the drawing board, and pretty much let's look at the perfect entry for today. So we saw this one, right? But let's go further back and see where using QT should we have entered. So my opinion, perfect entries in QT today. Let's go ahead and take a look. Honestly, yeah, probably the opening range. Because prior to that, we had this crack, right? I gotta start just drawing them out, honestly. So here's Q4. So Q4 or Q1, right? So 90 minute. So there's this 90 minute. And then we have another consecutive 90 minute. Well, that's not really a 90 minute. Was it a daily as well? Okay, I'm not even gonna look at that. Alright, here's the next 90 minute. So bam bam. And then I could probably just copy and paste it, but oh wait, that's I marked off the wrong thing on the Dow. Yeah, the Dow just ran higher. Nothing on the Dow. It's really just for NQES. So anyway, so 290 is going up on ES. While the Dow, what did we have? Q4. Okay, the Dow went higher as well. So that's nothing there. Where was it? There was one that I was it Q1, Q2. Okay, yeah, it was Q1, Q2. Yeah, technically, this is a 90 minute. So Q1 and Q2. So you see the Dow took out Q2. It looks really silly, but it technically still counts. So that pretty much gives us two in a row. And whenever I see like a crack that, where is it? Anyway, a crack that goes like a V, so one this way, one the other way, and on the other chart, it's just both consecutive in one direction. You can see how this would be a failure swing because this one's the one to take the highs out. So that's why you see that this high right here got taken there. And finally, I'll just take a look. It might have been a daily as well. No, it wasn't a daily. Yeah, it wasn't a daily. But still, a beautiful 90 minute. Um, if you take a look at the hour, I don't remember if it was. Okay, well, it doesn't matter if it was a PSP. It expanded in the hour. But yeah, we just went in that gap. And that's it. I don't know if we even PSP. Yeah, we had a PSP at 7 a.m., but it was just nothing there. So yeah, today's perfect entry. Like, it was an obvious drop, but there wasn't anything other than those pretty much one 90-minute cycle because the first one was really ugly. So your entry would have to be in here. And realistically, since your stop is usually 100 ticks, or my stop's usually 100 ticks, I mean, where could I put it? If I entered right here, okay, that's fair, right? That's fair. But I would have to take a pretty risky entry in here and just accept the fact if we pull back into this gap again. But the thing that I did notice today was that gap was hit on NQ and it was perfectly, you see, perfectly in the middle. So that one kind of sucked. And then this pullback was pretty crispy too. But what's really funny is at this minute, 9:43, I look at my phone and my buddy says, like, you didn't wait fully for orb, so technically this entry wouldn't be good. I'm like, all right, fine. And I see this entry and it's like, damn, so perfect. But at least it delivered, and that's it for today. Um, Out of curiosity, let's take a look at what the RR would be if we entered using everything out of quarterly theory. So realistically, I think that this is a good spot. So 100 ticks right here, pretty realistic to me if I did take this entry. So 100 tick, and then obviously 3R wouldn't be where I would put my TP. I would hold it at least halfway of the drop, especially when I see us dropping like that. So at a full would be 13R, which is absurd. But 3R does pay right here. So it's crazy to look back on, but we'll definitely catch some of these in the future. And yeah, this was a breakaway gap, pretty much. Let's see. Yep, nothing there other than the 90-minute and this for the lower time frame. But you can't hate because, I mean, you can see why it was due. So, all right, and that's about it. All right, adios. Lower prices probably. If not lower, then who cares? We'll see it. Another nice gap. Adios. Bye.